they play an unmovable, that is now a 2-card investment.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
you can't even. I don't even think you can. You can't even tunic around it. I don't think, because you would have to pay an extra to activate tunic. I believe. So
sure. I think the idea of having you know, CNC with tunic on 3, pitch of blue is like, I think Nam just likes that too much. So I think that's why he went with tunic.
For sure, for sure. So I think now the game plan is just super aggro if you don't have the Heart of Ice.
Yep. All right, load, Spark of Genius, probably for a lot.
Should be getting a Purifier here. So.
Okay, so we saw Brutal Assault. That is not a Met card. I'm wondering, why is this in the deck, actually?
That's a great question. And I do not know the answer.
That is... Like, there's so many blue 3 blocks.
Is this Tree Frog Dash? Is that maybe what this is?
It could be. That probably is what... That's what I would, like, immediately think, just looking at this.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, a very, very good start from Flake, getting a Purifier out, turn 0. That's basically as good a start as you get, right? Load, find an item, arsenal a card.
100%
is as good as it gets. So if I was Nom, I'd actually like notice the Brutal Assault, and I would like put the dash on a very, very defensive plan here. Terra Sunder is a good card to have.
Hopefully it's on more than just the hammer.
Okay, hold on. There's another thing we didn't notice. Ironhide legs instead of Achilles Accelerator. So this definitely is a very defensive dash.
Well, I think they do that into Oldhim anyway, because...
Do they?
I mean, it does represent at the end of... If you have all your Purifiers, it does represent 5 more damage on the action point, so maybe not. This does seem kind of Tree Frogish. We got to see more cards to kind of confirm that. But if I was a betting man, there's no way that this Terra Sunder is going to hit.
Yep, I agree.
Yep, this is Tree Frog. So because he's got all the life gain cards,
and he has the reacting arsenal. What a perfect starting hand there.
Yep.
2 blue, Spark of Genius, and a Thick Blow is chef's kiss. All right, so as Nom, what would you be thinking right now? And how would you adapt your game plan?
Yeah, so the next thought that would go through my head is this just went from a 50-50 to a 90-10.
In whose favor?
Oh, in dashes, like so far. The problem is, like, you can be... For those of you who don't know, Tree Frog Dash and why that deck works against Guardian, right? Because you're thinking like, oh yeah, how can you make it past all the glacials and all the dominate and everything? The life gain mechanic in this game, in this situation, is effectively the same thing as blocking a dominated attack, but you just shift the block to your turn with the life gain, right? So if you have two cards in hand, and one's a Sigil of Solace and a 3-block, you can block the dominated attack, and then Sigil on your turn or Sigil on that turn, doesn't matter. So the life gain mechanic is effectively a counter to the dominate mechanic, is the thought process of the deck, and it works very, very well.
Yep.
And the problem is here is if Nom blocks, he loses the game even quicker with anything more than, like, crowning and rampart is perfectly okay because he's just looking for bigger attacks basically. But like if he starts blocking with cards, it's just over.
All right, loading up the induction chamber and purifier for another round.
And we got another blue.
So
Oh, and another purifier. Okay, so this is
this is bad.
This is a perfect start to be two for 2 on items per turn. And they happen to be the best items in the current situation. And the reason that he prefers Purifier over Induction Chambers currently is because of Rampart.
Yep.
The higher you shoot and the less often you shoot, the less value is extracted from Rampart. So this is very clearly going to be just a 5 going into a hammer, more than likely.
So, what is Frog Dash weak against?
Any aggro deck. Any aggro deck that can't be fatigued. So like Briar, because her damage comes in like burst, right?
High because the damage is high.
Well, 5 because you have graveyard recursion every single turn, and like things are in like very weird numbers. It's actually pretty decent into Viscera, actually, believe it or not.
Is it because you have Arcane Barrier on things, or is it?
Yeah, you have AB and you have a lot of blues. So like the spike damage can be, kind of iffy at times, but at the same time, Viscera has off turns, and if you leverage life gain during those situations, you can kind of balance out his Mordred turns.
So Tree Frog Dash is probably like one of the heroes that cares the least about Winter's Wail.
100%.
Yeah. You probably just look at your hand. If you can use all 3, use all 3. If you can use 2, even though you have a frostbite, you just take 1 and move on with your life.
So I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think with this current, with the way things have gone in this game so far, I would make the argument that Num's only win con, which may not even be in his deck, is if he runs Smashing Good Time. I don't know if he does or not, but it's unfortunately looking that rough right now. Because like this is it, right? It's gonna be another 8 damage here, and it's just it's crippling once the ball gets rolling, because then it's like, okay, I'll block. Well, then he sets up more items and comes even harder, and it's rough.
Double Purifier activation here. I would wish he tapped them to indicate that they've been used, because that can get a little bit confusing from time to time. Even a little 45-degree tap like Nom would be nice.
Shout out to Flake, though. Commentators play in the game at the highest level. Love to see it. Love to see it. Yep, so here's the situation where I said, if Nom starts blocking, then it's, it's basically over, pretty much. So he's just going to be getting as much value out of Rampart and Crowning. Maybe he runs Smashing Good Time, but I would be surprised.
I mean, given that I don't think he's played the game since Worlds. I don't think he's updated his list for the metagame.
I don't know. I don't know if he ran it at Worlds. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Oh, so now Flake is 3 for 3 on items in turns.
So I mean, even if you have 3 copies of Smashing Good Time, like, oh man.
Yeah, different. But
Bravo would be better in this situation, right?
yes and no, because once again, like, you can dominate everything all you want, but like if he
Yeah, Bravo is a better deck into Dash, but Tree Frog Dash specifically is almost an auto loss.
Like this 8 right here, like he's probably gonna block with 3 cards, Arsenal and D-React, and like the game is in that whole rotation on that whole turn cycle. Flake just got a free card, right? Because he did not have an Arsenal going into this turn. He's blocking all the damage Nom's presenting in Arsenal card. So, like, the turn cycle is just a free card. Or he could block it. That's cool. That works too. And still get a turn and load up some items. Because why not? Although him pitching or using the unmovable there is probably indicative that he has another D-React. So I could see like a double load and then Arsenal his last card maybe.
Yeah, it becomes very, very obvious when the Dash player has a D-React in Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things that you would kind of pick up as Dory when you played Dory versus Dash, which was a very, very classic matchup. Is like you would just know when they had a D-React,
right?
And then that's back then we were playing Dauntless, and that's when you would actually play your Dauntless.
Yep, there's a sigil right back up to 40. So
I don't know why you would not play this.
Yeah, I would Arsenal it.
Yeah. At least like
kind of bait out a CNC, and also don't forget the fact that like with this deck you kind of want to be under life by a little bit to get all your life gain from your fighting spirits and cards like that.
Pay 1 or get dominate. Probably gonna pay 1 here, right?
Depends on the hand. If he has a big D-React, there's no way he pays it.
Yep. Was that from Arsenal? Yeah, that's just a crazy draw.
Interesting to pitch the... See, I'm not that scared of this because if you're pitching Rouse, right? For a Polar Blast.
Okay, this is gonna hit now. Uh-oh.
Okay,
Very
so
interesting.
Clearly we have a pummel here. That's what's happening. But with no Arsenal, it's like, yeah.
It's damage, you guys. So it has dominate. Of note, Polar Blast just says next attack. So it could have been the weapon, could have been a guardian attack, could have been a generic attack like this. Looks like no blocks here. Yep.
Only the blue one though. So if even unmovable still doesn't,
he can't play
doesn't get
into CNC.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I knew that. I was just testing you. You know. Okay.
All right, take an 8 here. Discarding a card.
Discard a card.
Which you have 4 cards.
Now you can't play Oasis. That's a fact. So you could have actually. That's interesting. Because why?
That doesn't make sense at all. You could have blocked pitch.
Block 3
Oasis,
and then Oasis.
Gain you wouldn't gain a life, right? Because 8. No, they're the same life.
I think that straight up tells us that he has an item in his hand. I think that's what that which would be.
Well, I mean, you could still block pitch Oasis Arsenal the item, like.
Yep. Here goes. Let me guess. Induction chamber.
Yep.
Oh no.
We loaded the purifier. Loaded the induction chamber.
Yeah, but that's only one resource, so he doesn't have an item. Maybe. Does Tree Frog run?
I mean,
he's just blasting. That's all it is.
They sometimes run a third purifier, but 2 and 2 is like normal. Some decks run 3 because if they're gonna boost once in a while, they might accidentally boost one of the win cons. So yeah. All right, this is coming in for 4, and then 4, and then 4.
But Rampart will block 1, 2, and 3. Interesting choice to crown because
you can't Rampart twice.
Yeah, you can get more value out of that Rampart later on. So you're basically saying, okay, so that would be crown. That he'll get 4 block out of that blue, which is good. But when you're coming in for 12, it's not as good. So basically, what's going to happen is they're going to relatively tie up life totals, and we'll be right back to it. But Nom will not be on a 5-card hand with Polar Blast and Arsenal. So he'll have a weaker turn, probably throw a Glacial or a Thunderquake. Flake will block 3 cards probably, and then, you know, pitch a blue, load up some, call it there.
Yeah. So one of the interesting things about having 4 items is that you actually kind of need 2 blues to effectively do things. So that doesn't really happen until you're in the second cycle. So
it really just comes down to you blast him every other turn. Like you save a blue, load some up, and then
for newer dash players, it's not worth to like blast them. So there's a third purifier there. I'm not actually sure if 3. Okay, the third purifier makes sense against Oldhim.
Yeah,
and the third induction chamber makes sense against the other characters. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So
actually, does the third induction chamber? The third induction chamber actually does something because that means he has to have a tunic or another blue to block 4 times with Rampart.
Correct. So it's kind of gravy. He's basically fully set up right now. The last induction chamber would just be the cherry on top. And he only had to pay 11 life to get there.
Not a high price.
And 2 armor block. So he's still got his Ironhide for the Oakenold or whatever, you know, big on hit he's worried about, and not looking pretty.
A relatively weak turn here.
Yep. I think last turn I predicted a red Thunderquake, but I mean, blue works too. So easy, like 3-card block, load up with a blue or Arsenal D react. Or, I mean, it's Tree Frog, so you really want the game to last long. Like, he's probably tempted right now to take this 8.
Yes, exactly.
But, like, I don't think that goes with the game plan.
Exactly.
Unless he's Flake could be next level, and he's already done the math and expected how much damage Nom's about to take, and he's trying to get him down to, like, 22, 23, and then that way, next turn, all his life gain stuff is still on. So we'll check Flake's math here. Blue Sift, love to see it. Love to see it. Big fan of that card.
Also, in general, if you can run non-attacks, they're generally better than attacks. There's a few like Arachne, Bolt, and they care about attacks. All right, this gun is no longer a pistol. It is a AR. Have a good for 5 here.
It's a Hanabi blaster for sure.
Yep. Basically, yep.
So if you've ever wanted,
power, but
well, they both shoot for 5. So if you've ever wanted to shoot your Hanabi blaster 5 times or 3 different times for 15. This is the deck for you. So here, Nam is doing it correctly by not crowned seizing because you get a 1, 2, 3, 6 block out of that blue based off of Rampart on 3 shots. Whereas if he would have crowned, it drops it down to 4, but he does get that filter. So basically, this is Nam's only play for the rest of the game, is to pitch 3 resources into Rampart, block 6, and then clap back with 4. And he has to do that every single turn, basically.
Yep. Yep, basically take 6, attack back with 4. Take 6, attack back with 4.
Yep.
I think it is interesting though that what you said, like in terms of the tactics, I mean, Flake is doing this correctly. He's, you know, putting counters on everything, attacking, giving it a go again, right? But strategically, taking giant chunks of damage to do this every turn may not be correct.
Well, like I said, if he's done the math and he puts Nam to like 23 or 24, then it actually probably is correct, because you gotta imagine he's running what, 6 fighting spirits, Heart of Findel, you know, all these cards that are, you know, just crappy 2 blocks if you are at equal or higher life.
Yes.
So getting the extra value out of those is probably correct, especially because he's already so far ahead. He can afford to speed the game up a little bit and put the pressure on Nam.
Right. I guess there's also the possibility of, you know, Hanabi blastering 2-3 times and then ending your turn with Fendel Fighting Spirit.
Oh,
that'd be okay.
Yeah, that'd be pretty decent.
Yep.
But I think you wouldn't waste a blue on that. I think you would just load up, right? Probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
It's only 2 more damage, and you probably block with the Fighting Spirit. Oh, we got our first ice react, okay. I don't hate it. I mean, it means that he's got a crappy turn coming up, but...
I mean, yeah.
It's probably just a Spinal, or a Frostbite, yeah. Well, okay, so Tunic counter here, that's definitely a pummel in Arsenal, so Flake has to play around that.
Another thing is that it might actually make more sense to, like, load everything, dump your whole hand. Make sure you do not have a hand for Ice React. Or partially dump your hand, keep 2 cards, attack a bit, and then suddenly dump your hand.
I think you just load everything up like as soon as you can. Yep. So
here comes the dunk.
Well, here comes an unmovable. Is what? Yeah. See.
Yep. 9 against 9 here.
He knew what was happening, and now the damage cycle was Nam no longer has an arsenal, and Flake is gonna pitch a blue and probably put 3 counters on and pass turn, and nothing changed except Flake got more counters on his item.
There, as a warrior player, I don't actually know if I agree with how Nam played that pummel. You attack with Frostfang for 5, they block for 2. You just say, all right, go take 3.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
That's what you're supposed to do, right?
100%.
When somebody underblocks my supremacy turn, I'm like, no reaction. Okay, stick below, now I have reprised. Now I'm gonna get you. Right?
It's not like he held the extra card. He had Tunic to use pummel, so he just carries that over to the next turn, which is perfectly okay. So
there's no reason for him to have blocked like that if he didn't have an unmovable. And you're kind of just playing into it, like.
Yeah, this is an act of desperation. 5, obviously, there's no world in which this connects. So
another D-react.
Yep. Wow, the disrespect. That's all you got into Oldhim.
That is
Alright, so we probably got, what, 2 or 3 blues easy, or maybe 2 blues and a D-react, so he's gonna do some shooting here, and Nam's gonna pitch a blue, block 6 damage, and we're gonna be in the exact same situation in the cycle, except Nam's gonna be missing about 8 life.
Yep. I like loading here before attacking.
And for those of you who don't know, with the dash or with the item mechanic, you can actually like keep
Overpitch.
loading. You can overpitch and like keep loading even though it doesn't need a steam counter. If you did, obviously in this situation it doesn't make sense because you would just load back up your purifiers. But if you're ever in that situation, you can overpitch.
Do you notice here? He got ice reacted once, and now he's like, "Oh, I learned a lesson."
Yep.
This is why oftentimes when you see your opponent making a misplay and you can punish them, it might be better to not punish them immediately. If you kind of pick up that they're a quick learner, you just let that mistake happen until it comes around again and you can punish them even more.
Alright, Josh, if I lose my game next, it's all on you.
Josh is the anchor. Nothing new.
It's not like I'm trying to lose, but you know, that's the situation if it is.
I wanna mess around on my deck.
Alright, like I said, pitch the blue, getting 6 block out of it, and then got a 4-card hand.
So of note, Nam is now below dash in life.
Yeah.
So below in life and below in board.
It's just, yeah, it's bad all around. Like, I don't think if he could clear 2 smashing good times here, I still don't think he would win. He's still got all that armor, like the smashing good time has to actually hit. If he runs it, I don't know. I don't know if he does. If he does run Smashing Good Time, it's about 30 cards too late.
That's a good card, but it is just damage.
That's
Doesn't
it.
even have dominate.
Yep. So this is yeah, just an easy situation because
Block 6, load.
yeah, I mean, like there's no on hit. There's a situation like I wouldn't hate blocking with 2 cards, taking 4. And then just load up with 2 blues like that.
Yep.
I don't hate it.
I don't agree with using the armor here. This makes you vulnerable to.
Is that a blue fighting spirit? No, it's
That's
yellow.
a yellow fighting. That makes you vulnerable to Tear Asunder and Okanold if there's an Okanold. But I mean, Nam's life is so low, he's probably not going to get the Okanold.
Yeah, he got set up so fast that this will be one of the first Dash Oldhim games that didn't go to second cycle for Oldhim, which is just insane. Alright, we're gonna have to start calling Flake Britta because he's got all the purifiers. He is killing it. I think it was, what, 4 turns in a row that he just went item, 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 including the very first turn 0. And then shortly after that, he dropped the last purifier. So, great start from Blake so far, other than the one time where he got caught naked outside with the ice react. I think that's the only spot where, like, it was like he definitely could have played it better. But other than that, I think Flake's played it just about perfect.
Yep, I agree.
Even when he took all that damage, and like the first initial thought is like, whoa, I want to slow the game down. But I kind of saw what he was trying to do and realized that he was ahead and did the math and is trying to keep the life totals relatively close, so he gets to extract more value out of his deck. Fully understand it.
This is a matchup where you have to see like 4 or 5 turns ahead, and I think both players right now know that the dash has won this. They're kind of just going through emotions here.
Yep.
And there's a possibility you draw like 8 reds in a row or something. Like,
well, this is the last turn. I think Nam is able to, depending on the math. Yeah, this is the last turn where he'll be able to just put 1 card into Rampart and clap back with 4. So okay, Oldhim with embodiments of lightning. Why not?
called his buddy Briar.
Yeah, so after this turn, Nam's going to be in that situation where he has to go Rampart, block a card, Rampart again, block a card, and then that's just when the...
So we got apart from there.
Yeah, we got about 3 or 4 more turns left in the game, and I think that'll be it.
Crater Fist usage is about the right time because you need to make sure you get 2 uses out of it. Even though there's no on hits you really need to stop, you just have to make sure that you... I mean, actually, you could get it on the same turn. What am I talking about? You can get... It's very...
Yeah, I get stash, breaking the chain.
Yeah, I remember, yeah, I was like, block with Brave Forge Racers, go back, block with Brave Forge Racers, come back.
Yeah, I think his plan here is probably to pitch another card to keep paying into Rampart and probably pay into the Ironhide Legs, if I had to guess. I wouldn't hate it. Or just wait for Tunic counter on next turn, but maybe he's trying to do a CNC Tunic Pummel on his turn. Does he want to add the Ironhide?
Probably not.
The reason that, like, the knee-jerk reaction that you do is like you want to pitch another card because you want to get the 3 block out of the Rampart one more time. And if you do that, you have just 2 floating just sitting there. So
that's true.
And that all of that was because he crowned. So yeah, there it is. He's gotta get that value.
So he'll have 3 cards and Tunic on 3, so he could still do that, you know, pitch a blue.
Yeah, it could be a
CNC Pummel. Yep. The only thing that's making me hesitate here is that Flake has not used the last card in his hand.
Could be a D-react, because he did just block with his armor, so maybe it's just him trying to secure that for the next next dominate attack.
CNC? Yep.
Look at that. It's like we know what we're talking about. I'll tell you what. Tunic on 3, Oldhim playing the CNC. We know what that last card is. So with an arsenal, there's like a very good chance that you just like lay your whole hand down here if you're if you're Flake.
I agree.
Unless you have Oasis Respite or something fancy like that.
Doesn't want to put payload down? Does want to put payload down.
You gotta block more than that, boss. Come on now. Don't get greedy, Flake. Oh, does he have the double? The double Oasis? Oh, he got caught. Okay. So
that
the pummel's
could be
gonna hurt. Oh, he didn't have the pummel. Oh, that could have hurt.
Yep. So what's that last card in hand?
It's got to be a D-react, right?
It's got to be a red D-react, right? Yeah.
And if it is, he just passes, probably.
Do you?
Versus loading 1. A yellow D-React.
Yeah.
Okay.
Springboard Somersault.
Yeah.
You probably load here.
I would pitch that one. Yeah. That one's not too good coming from the hand. So I mean that's pretty good exchange for Nom, but it's still just like that proves that like there's a D-React in Arsenal, so he's safe from any dominate. So we're just back in. Nom has tempo, but like even if he has a okay, so he's trying to take full advantage of the tempo by looking for that 5th card, maybe get a Rouse the Ancients or a Zealous Belting Off to kind of really apply that pressure, because this is his last chance. If he leaves Flake with 2 cards on this turn and still at a relatively high life total, he's just gonna take too much damage. So because that pistol's gonna come in for what, 5, 3 times 15. He's at 4 life. Rampart blocks 6. He could get 1 more turn staying at 4 if he used the armor. So if it's just 1 big attack here, it's not good for Nom, and that's what it's looking like. That's one of the better ones because it's a time walk.
Yeah.
That's the way you look at that. So, and Channel Lake Frigid is actually a very good card. I want to see Nom hold that Channel Lake Frigid and not put it in Arsenal to get the chance to play it, because it's very crippling for Dash.
Yep.
Because every time you load something, it's 2 cards, and so this Endless Winter is a time walk. When he plays that Channel Lake Frigid, it will be a time walk essentially, and then that'll give Nom some time to find some type of a really big threat.
Yep.
I loved the presentation of the pummel on that CNC last turn. Like, even if he doesn't have it, you still have to think about it.
Yeah.
Yep. For sure.
So I really want to see him keep that channel in hand. Really want to, because that way, if you put it in Arsenal, it's like, oh, if I don't draw gas, I have to crown it away, and I'm not a fan of taking that risk.
Okay, he might have messed up here, because blocking with a D-React, if you have another D-React in hand, means you have to pitch for this D-React here. He's just going to take the damage. He might just take the damage here.
But that means every time you activate an ability, which is loading, you make a frostbite. So
yeah,
okay, he's playing
you have to read Endless Winter very, very carefully here.
Okay.
I mean, this is going to cost the card though. So
yeah. Oh, okay. It wasn't. I mean, it is a waste. It's 2 resources wasted, but
getting a frostbite back now. Yeah. Okay. I mean, he could still get pummeled here. Nope. Okay.
I think even if you have pummel, yeah, you probably do. Did you see if he put the Channel Lake in his hand, or did he put it in his hand?
It's in his hand.
Good, good. I love that.
He gets a new frostbite to replace the old one here.
No, because it didn't hit. So
yeah, and this one did not hit.
It was full.
Oh, gotcha.
So he's just gonna load up a little bit. Might take a shot or 2. Who knows?
He's think the only reason to pause here is that he has a D-React in hand. He doesn't want to get it ice reacted. That's why he's pausing here.
Well, if he has a D-React in hand, it's very straightforward. You just load the
yeah, he only has 1 float. Yeah. I thought he had 1 float here.
I think he has another blue, and he's thinking about whether he needs to like shoot or not, kind of situation, and like how to shoot.
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Because like that's one of the hardest parts about math, is you need to know, like, mathematically, if I have exactly 1 resource in this board,
yeah,
like
he can
left
shoot.
over, like you need to know what to do.
Yeah, he has enough resources to shoot.
His,
he shot before Purifiers. Uh-oh. No, okay, he recognized it. Okay.
Yep.
Coming in for 5.
So as long as this doesn't get
load,
Blizzard.
React, load. Yep.
Blizzard is huge here, though, if Nom can,
yes.
can swing that.
He was missing all the things.
Blizzard should be after the infection chamber reaction.
Yep. Okay. Pitching that channel leg that I valued so highly unless he has sick. Alright, this is his last chance to do the old one card rampart play. After this turn, it'll be pitch a blue, rampart one card, just rampart on the last, leaking 4 damage in total. 5 damage in total. So if Nam goes at 5 or lower, it's really bad because he can only hammer for the rest of the game. If my math checks out. Two blocks not good. Alright, Nam, it's your last 3-card hand. Enjoy it. So, Crown is pretty much useless right now because you can't afford to use it anymore. So, this is probably definitely a 5 go again, maybe, into a hammer.
Yep, most likely.
But even then, I mean, the reason you can't use Crown here is because you need to effectively. Nam from now on is going to have to pitch a blue into Rampart 3 times and then block 2 cards on the first 2 shots. Or 1 card on each of the first 2 shots, which is a total of 3 cards. And if he wants to activate Crown, that's a 4th card, and that's his entire hand.
Yep.
So now Nam is caught in the cycle where he can basically only. Well, at least Flake has to spend an entire turn loading up, so that's a positive. I love that Flake is like not just going straight across the board and doing something that may not be quite efficient. Most people would just like, oh, I'll start left and go right, you know, whereas. You know, the reason you want to load up in that order is in the event to where, like, if there's ever a situation where, you know, you have to put enough pressure on Nam to get some of his cards, but you're not like fully loaded up. You obviously don't want to just shoot once for 5. But that doesn't apply here because he has the double blue. So. I actually really do like using tunic count, or I mean, okay.
Looks like he's gonna use the last floating tunic shoot.
Yeah, I like it because
4/4/4.
it's gonna get enough cards.
It's gonna deal 3 and then 2.
No, it's gonna be Rampart 1 card, Rampart. He'll take 3.
Yep. Wait, he can crown here. He can use Crown here.
Yeah.
And he'll drop to 2 or 1, I think.
No, he shouldn't Crown here because now it's a whole other card to get 3 block out of Rampart.
Yeah.
Right?
Probably.
Because he's still shooting 3 times because he has tunic, right?
Yep.
I don't know if Nam sees that. Yep, so now because he crowned, he can't block with Rampart for 3 and only take 1. So.
I mean, it's still blocked for 2.
That's true. So
And the
Maybe
crown
crown
makes
was
it
right there.
blocking, indirectly blocking 3.
Yeah. There's 8.
That
It's
is
8 play, but it ain't
very,
big
very
play.
inefficient. Playing a 4-cost card as Guardian is always feels bad unless you have double blue and a pummel or a tunic. Eight on hit, get a frostbite on activations.
All right, I will be right back. 1 second.
Sure.
I am
So
actually
blocking
back.
4. So this is going to be a sink below or a fate scene. Yep, there you go.
This is not looking good for Nom, huh?
No, it's not.
Kind of assumed that with the tree frog dash.
That is typical from this version of Dash, though, so not too shocking.
Getting him to 15 life though is, I mean, it's not always easy to do.
Yeah, I was just
Yep.
I was just on the phone with Bob, and he was very impressed. He was like, "I thought Nam was going to have a much tougher time." And he's having a tough time, but it's okay out there.
Yeah. Has he had any like relevant pummels this game or anything like that?
No.
He
That's,
threatened to pummel on a Command and Conquer that was pretty interesting, but it wasn't a pummel; it was just a threat.
makes sense. Yeah, the pummels early, forcing like either really inefficient plays or making the dash player misplay and like getting a plasma purifier out of the hand with a pummel or something is about the only way you can overcome this match, unless you just have constant like zealous belting, rouse, dominate this, dominate that, pummel this every turn basically.
I am back.
Welcome back.
What Discord are we using to communicate with people we're playing?
You're going to the actual league channel.
Gotcha.
Type Foundry.
If I was Nom here, I'd think the writing was on the wall.
I thought it was on the wall 5 turns ago, but yeah. Not looking good. He had that one turn where he could have done a little something when he got caught with all the D-racks on the CNC, but other than that.
Dash playing Remembrance too. It's kind of salt in the wound.
Is the only reason to run that in case your items get blown up by Smashing Good Time, right?
I think.
Yes.
I think.
Or just
yeah,
more
reason.
runway.
Right. I think it's more so like Dash only really ends up losing this match if the Oldhim really high rolls, and that usually ends up with him using most of his resources, and so you just have to block out until you get down to a very minimal deck, and maybe the Remembrance is a way to put some of that deck back to give yourself a chance. I'm not sure. Flake showing him, this is how I'm gonna win the game. Those yellow fighting spirits have been hurting him more than helping him.
Well, that's because he hasn't been blocking a whole lot. He got set up so early that he's been on the. He really hasn't done any life gain.
Right.
Not for real. So I think that's why. And Nom hasn't really had any like good rouse turns or anything like that. So.
Yeah, you basically have to have those to have a chance.
Can't he ice react here? And that stops the whole attack?
Potentially, yeah.
Oh, hopefully he has another ice card.
Not just potentially, it literally does.
Mm-hmm.
Please, Nom, see it. See the ice react.
I'm assuming he's gonna block and then.
Oh,
ice
yep,
react.
he's got one. He's got one locked and loaded. Ice react.
This is why you wanted to pitch your yellow, then blue, floating 2.
You can go ahead and like load the purifiers. Or load something.
No,
what I'm saying is you can't float the resources for the pistol.
Right. But you always have something to pitch to in this deck, so like you can just go ahead and like if it's a blue, like you just go ahead and pitch it, load a couple of the purifiers, and have the pistol shots ready to go.
Ice React here actually doesn't do anything because he kind of baited him because Nom's on blocking duty anyway. So like if he ice reacts, he still has to block with a card there, so it still leaves him with 1 no matter what.
At this point, I think the only way that Nom can even get back into the game is if he is able to play a hypothermia, save a hand hypothermia, and try to attack back with something relevant. But even it's just he's got too much life.
I think the only way that Nom gets back in this game is if Flake gets like called into work or something and has to immediately leave. I think that's
let's call him into the booth.
that's Nom's only out. Flake's gotta go.
Flake's computer crashes.
Well, I mean, that's pretty good for Nom, actually.
Yeah, Mr. TTS is a bit hard for Dash, especially just because there's so much movement of dice and cards. It's a great resource for testing, but for something like this, you get sucked into all this movement of things, and it just takes way longer than it should. If I was Nom here, I would pick this.
Then another situation where Ice React blocks for 5.
If I was Nom, I would take this 3 damage. Put me out of my misery. I bet Flake's hand's getting tired with his mouse going all over the place.
The old hammer swing. Ye old hammer swing. Oh, is that a channel? Oh.
Does he have an ice card for it?
Oh.
Ouch. I mean, at this point, like, you just arsenal the channel like Frigid and keep. Unless that card, well, no, because he would play a hypothermia if he had it. I keep thinking Icelander, but I don't know why you're putting in arsenal here. Channel like Frigid feels pretty important to like try to get back into the game if that's your game plan.
Not even bothering turning.
I know.
You know what this is.
Yeah, you know what this is. That's why I like actually using the little tokens for Dash. Yeah, just put something on them.
Oh, I got the all blue, so he's set up for next turn too, if he needs.
He's walking into Ice React again.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
This blocks for 10 now. Come on, Ice React that last card.
Oh, he pitched the ice
What
card.
is going on?
Nom, wake up!
Wake up!
Literally blocking 10 here.
I mean, it doesn't matter. He's still. Oh. Oh no.
Of course it matters. Your opponent makes mistakes again and again and again and again. That's how you get back in the game.
Yep. Well, like even if he ice reacted there, it's still just hammer arsenal, and we're back to like the
same thing.
But yes, it still...
at least show your teammates that you see the line.
Right.
Show us you see the line. The blocks 10.
Blocking for 10 with 1 card is pretty good.
I heard that is good.
Yep.
I heard that's better than a stalagmite against this right. Uh-oh, there goes the pummel. Down to 1. And... well...
that's it.
Hello, Bobblehead. Pretty clever name. Bobblehead spelled like the correct bubble. There's
Oh, I thought you were talking about... yeah.
Okay.
Now he's just gonna fight it for red fighting spirit him. Oh god. Please do it, Flake. Just for the meme.
Hit that 7 breakpoint while he's at 1 life too.
Hit it, hit A.
Load, pitch a blue, fighting spirit.
Oh.
This doesn't seem right.
I mean, he's still got to present 5. Like he doesn't want to.
Well, yeah.
Cards,
if he doesn't have an attack in hand, this is correct.
Yeah.
Payload attacks for 4, which is basically the same thing.
Correct. There's no difference between. Well, he doesn't have crown, so 4 and 5 is different. 5 is guaranteed 2 cards.
And 4 is not while he's at 1 life.
Well, if he had crown, he would be able to cycle and still do.
He doesn't have crown.
Yeah, I'm saying because he doesn't have crown.
Yeah.
No difference.
Yeah. Epithermy is a little too late.
Either that or Flake brought his Ugg boots.
That might be another sigil, yeah. Or an arsenal.
What if Flake is like toying with him? He's like, no, I'm just gonna life gain my way back up to 40, then take you out.
Either that or he's like intentionally trying to deck him out.
I mean, Flake's got more cards in his deck than Nom.
This should be game, right? No arsenal, 3 pistol shots, good game.
Oh, there's Channel 8 frigid, so that's gonna get hella expensive.
Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Everything costs 1. Taking the counter off, loading
Taking
it back.
5 resources, loading them is, yeah, there's no way.
He should just fighting spirit here, but you know. See, you play
Need a
this.
blue to activate it.
Well, I mean, to load, he needs what, like 2 resources for each load? Is that right?
Well, and to take it off is the.
Yeah.
So like every time he takes the counter off, that's another resource. So.
So it's 3 to shoot each time, right?
Correct.
He'll present 10.
If he has 2 blues, yes. If he doesn't,
I'm sure has a lot of 2 blocks in his deck, so.
yeah. Even if he only has 1 more blue left, like it's still probably good enough.
Rampart doesn't exactly help you here. Oh, Earth React, yep. Pitching a 3 block though, so.
So let me
the
get
rest of
this
cards are
straight.
3.
Nom will Earth react to block 2 damage, but he won't Ice react to block 10. Tell you what.
Like I said in the first game, like I think people are used to doing certain patterns that they may not be even used to like seeing these lines. Whereas like we're outsiders looking at a deck that we don't play, so all the possibilities we kind of like look at this, look at this, look at this. Whereas he's like, yeah, this is what I do with my deck, you know.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for like autopiloting like that. Like,
yes.
Will actually brought up a point with the FI deck the other day, where people were searching for blue belittle off of the Mask of Momentum, or the Mask of Pouncing Link, which is something that not many people would think of, right? Because you're just so used to just going and grabbing, you know, Lava Burst or whatever to like finish the chain link, that you don't think that you can actually use it as a versatile card too.
I will admit though, there's also like, because Flesh and Blood has some matches that are just like oh so polarizing.
Right.
I think there's also the fact that like you sit down and you know like you're a 10 to 90 underdog, you know, and like so you kind of like, everybody does it to some level, you know. The really strong players do it a lot less, but like a lot of people have the tendency to like check out a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe not play it to 100% just out of, you know, some of it's frustration. You know, it's a bad matchup. There's nothing, you know, it can feel like completely out of your hands at times.
Oh, I completely understand. I'm assuming Nam is in that situation right now where he sat down and he saw Dash, and the second you see something like a blue brutal assault or something on your opponent's board, you're like, okay, that's what we're doing. So like you just kind of check out at that point, I'm sure. What's up, Justin? Yeah, Armada, looks like Flake's got this one locked up.
Yep, this should be the last turn actually, matter of fact.
Yeah, I don't think he can stop 10 more damage. Yep. Pop, pop. Pop, pop, pop. Negative. Good game, good game. Alright, so Flake wins that one. That's one for the other team. KFabe Cards takes their first win of the series. Card Guyz are up 2-1 now. We need one more win to lock it up. I believe, Nathan, you're up next, correct?